everyone. Thanks for being with me. I haven't been broadcasting lately because I've been busy doing a whole host of other stuff. But I'm back. Not that that necessarily is a good or a bad thing. I did post a satirical piece on last week, which has had a number of hits. I wish to advise you to go and have a look at that piece where I interview myself and I interview a dick myself. So worth having a look at. A lot of fun putting together. I hope to be able to put some more of those together in the future. What I do want to talk about today is a disturbing documentary which my wife and I have been watching over the last few nights called United States and the Holocaust. And it's a fantastic but very sad and depressing documentary relating to the lack of activity initially by the United States in relation to what was happening in Germany from 1939 through to 1945. I mean, I must confess, they did actually start to do something a little bit more constructive around 1943 after about 4 or 5 million Jewish people were murdered. Now, what has occurred to me is that we, as a species, I think, are disgusting. That we at any particular point could participate in the slaughter of innocent men, women and children, I find absolutely abhorrent. I don't know how you view that, but I do. And, you know, the demonisation of any particular group of people is a disgrace, and particularly in this particular case, obviously, Jewish communities. Now, it was worth noting that a lot of the tropes that you hear around Jewish people are about them being wealthy, about them taking over the country, about them having influence and power, them being the Jewish people. And the reality is that that's just not true. That amongst Jewish communities, there are the rich and the poor and the people who are middle class, just like any other community. But why are they singled out particularly? Why is it that the Jewish community was seen as something lesser than an insect? I will never understand those concepts. I will always make a stand against those people who argue that Hitler did the right thing, that he was, some sort of godlike character who was endeavouring to change society as he knew it in a way that was better for all of us. Well, that's absolute crap. The reality is that he was one of the most evil men that has ever walked this planet. And why I'm raising this is that it was interesting to see a video I looked at yesterday, which actually included Jordan Peterson, the Canadian psychologist, and he was making the case that Hitler was kind of an okay guy, that he had an obsessive compulsive disorder, which meant he wanted everything to be clean, including eradicating a whole race of people. Now, I've never liked Jordan Peterson. I think he's a misogynist prick, and I think that we all need to be wary of what this stupid, terrible individual ever has to say. But there are people who look up to him and admire him for reasons which I don't quite understand. He's had a very large megaphone. He's been able to say whatever he likes to say. I have the same megaphone. I'm a nobody, certainly, compared to someone like him. He appears to have had this academic background that lends itself to a set of knowledge and information that clearly you and I don't have. But at the end of the day, the things that he has said in the past about Jewish people and Hitler in particular, I find absolutely abhorrent. Now, if you disagree with me, please feel free to do so. As I've said many, many times, I don't mind. If you tend to want to disagree, that's fine. But let's be honest about our views. I'm honest with you. I think it's only fair that you be honest with me as well. but I am warning you that if you do say things that I find are going to be harmful, that are distinctly wrong in my view, I will certainly let you know, as I'm sure you will let me know if you think that anything that I say is wrong also. I think it's important to be able to point out that there are some terrible correlations between what has happened back in the 30s and the 40s in terms of our as a species, the way we've treated fellow species, and that we need to be mindful that this stuff has not been buried in the past, that it's still very much present with us right now, and we need to find a way to be able to combat it. I think I have found that way by this particular podcast, by having a voice for what I think, regardless of the minimum number of people that I have watching. It doesn't matter to me, but I do think it's important that we stand up for what we believe in and stand against what we don't believe in. And recently here in Australia and around the world for that matter, there's been a resurgence of fascism in terms of the black coats, the brown coats, whatever you care to call them, those people doing Nazi salutes. And in Melbourne on the weekend, we had such an event. And this is a picture of these morons. Most of them were wearing masks because they're so embarrassed to be identified as Nazis, but that is what they are. And these are a breed of people who are simply racist. There's no other way of describing them. They are an appalling group of people. They are something that we should shun, and we certainly should talk about in ways which are about saying, well, we're not going to make a stand for these sorts of people. These sort of people should not be in our community. We shouldn't have anything to do with them whatsoever. There is another person, I'm just trying to find his photograph here. There's a beautiful photograph of him who represents the same thing. Here he is. And this is him. And this is the sort of person we need to be mindful of, because it is this man, who hopefully will wind up behind bars at some point, who spreads a form of contagious disease about the other, about people that are particularly disadvantaged, those people that don't have the resources that characters like this do, and whereby when this man is confronted by the possibility of having to go to jail, he will pull out every tool that he's got to convince the minority, those that believe in him for whatever reason, that they should protest. And as a result of that, there are likely to be a kind of bloodbath, if you like, in the United States over the coming weeks as he gets arrested, gets arraigned, and hopefully will be placed in jail. There's even some conversation perhaps he won't receive bail because he'll be a flight risk. Well, if he does flee anywhere, I'm pretty certain that it will be to Russia or to China, probably to Russia. So, but the point I want to make is that there are Donald Trumps everywhere. There are these people that believe that for whatever reason, because they're white, because their sense of superiority, that they are the ones that should be controlling the narrative, and that they should be the ones ensuring that those people they don't like are locked up. When you look at the narrative behind, or the types of things, I guess, that Trump says, it appears to be quite obvious that if this man was ever in power, he would do what he could to lock up, incarcerate all of his enemies. Now, that's no different from Hitler or any other autocratic leader, Putin or Xi, or whoever you like. These people are dangerous. My biggest fear is that they tend to have, over time, more and more influence that will determine how our society manages itself and how it operates. As it becomes more divisive, as we start to battle these people on the right, we're going to find that the battle will intensify and it will become bloody. So everyone here, everyone who's watching my video, needs to be aware of what looks ahead. We have a terrible individual standing in the New South Wales election called Riccardi Bossi, which I've posted on previously, who spouts absolute crap, absolute garbage. There was a video, I don't know if I can show you part of it. So here he is here. I don't know how this is going to come out. But here he is. I'll just try and align that a bit better. Here he is talking absolute shit. Now, what I found interesting about this particular video is that the people, so we've got David Guru, I don't know, this guy, who knows why he's called Guru, because he's not very bright and doesn't know much about anything. And this woman, Kaz, who tends to manage the production here, they become totally, I'll just play a little bit of it, because they become totally bored with the shit that he's spouting.
Sit there and eat and drink, and they threw them out. So we went to another venue and did the same thing again. Now, formal complaints have been sent to everybody we thought that should get a formal complaint. That includes the New South Wales Electoral Commission. And they said, well, that's not within our jurisdiction. The New South Wales Police have received a report, but they're doing nothing. What a surprise. Now, just so we're clear, we're not complaining that someone's pushing back. That's what this war's all about. These guys are about to die. This is a fight to the death. We know that.
So I want us to just be aware of the type of language that he uses. So this is a fight to the death. Now, if you're a reasonable, rational person, you don't argue in terms of people living or dying, except where the society itself is doing things that causes people to be harmed, and where governments are not acting in ways perhaps that they should. That is not a statement which is meant to validate what he's saying at all. It's simply a statement which says, basically, if around homelessness, around childhood sexual abuse, around those people that don't have a voice, not having a voice, and not being able to represent themselves in the face of injustice, those sorts of issues are certainly those that we need to work to resolve. But we don't ever need to fight to the death. So we don't need to, because that's threatening language. It's a threatening trope. It's really saying, we need to fight these people who disagree with us. And the people that disagree with Bossy and David Graham and the other crazy people that sit on that side of politics always find a really good way of taking them down. I mean, he organised a meeting not long ago, and a whole lot of left-wingers and a whole lot of other people who disagree with them booked the venue out and told the people that were running the place who they were, and they had to close it down. And there's another video of these dudes at a standing underneath a tree near a beach somewhere and talking about how the tables have turned and that there are so many people that know who they are and that they're going to win kind of in a landslide at the coming election. And in that video, when you look around, you'd be lucky to have 20 people standing there listening to him carry on. But the point is that people like Bossy and Campbell can create a sense of uncomfortableness amongst a certain group of people. And those people will eventually those people will focus on what these characters say, and they will find a way to fight back. Now, the point is that it's not people like Trump or people who lead this movement. It's not people like Jordan Peterson. It's about those people that follow them that do the harm. It's like they light the fire is lit, they pour the petrol on top of the fire, and and everybody else around them gets ignited by it for some reason. So I think that we need to be really mindful of the damage that these people do. And we need to make sure that we're aware of what they're doing. I mean, I listen to Gira and Kaz and Carry On because, well, firstly, I find it amusing that people think this way. And secondly, we need to be mindful of actually what they are thinking and how dangerous those particular thought patterns are. Now, I don't object to people having a view that's completely different from mine. I don't care. I celebrate that because that's the way it should be. And I don't mind their views in terms of them having them. What I do object to is the language that Bossy just used, which is this is a fight to the death. That sort of language means that there will be people that will take that up, act upon it, and cause harm to others. So I'd be interested to know what you think, and I'd certainly be interested in seeing if you could subscribe if you can. I don't know what's happened to that part of my thingo. If you could subscribe to my channel, and we will see whether or not we can boost our numbers. I'm trying to get my numbers up to 100 by the end of the month. So if you can share this video, let other people know what it is that we're doing, that would be absolutely, absolutely fantastic. So thanks very much for being with me, everybody. I want to try and make at least one of these videos once a day. I'll put my best effort into it. And if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, please do so also. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Look after yourselves. And more importantly, be safe.